Hey everyone, if you caught my stream earlier, this is an edited version of the stream. I'm actually removing and cleaning up a few things due to some technical difficulties we ran into. I'm also actually removing well, not ready for prime time OTG section of the video. Once that's actually up and running, which is coming really soon, there'll be more videos and tutorials about how to get that running and how to showcase that. But in the interim, look for some additional live stream where we will show some of the pinball arcade and Zachariah tables in a future stream. But for now, actually just edited that piece out, so I do apologize if you're going to look for it in the replay. That won't be available. Okay, so hope you enjoy the stream.
I just got this table last night. I'm going to step out of the way so we can all get a nice look at it. Just got the table last night. Thankfully, DHL came at about like 8:30 last night. I was losing all hope that this would ever show up before the new year, and it did. And I was lucky enough to actually have a one-on-one conversation with PK last night. And the team was great because I had a couple little hiccups that I want to point out as we go along the way. And these are things that I'm sure will be completely addressed before this goes live with the masses or to the masses and rolls out. But so far, in playing with it last night and playing with it today, in comparison to the Toy Shock that I own, now I don't own the latest PCB board, which is I think it's the 2.0 board or whatnot. I know the very latest board isn't rolling out until sometime probably to February, which is the one that's not even in stores right now. But in comparison to the Toy Shock, because I had an opportunity to play that again today, and I can say without a doubt there's actually no comparison whatsoever. The Toy Shock feels literally like a toy shock, no pun intended. This feels like a real solid machine. I mean, this thing has got some serious heft to it. In fact, I had to turn up the nudge all the way up because it's such a hefty machine. You got to give it a good bang. But when the nudge works, it does work really well. I just found that you had to increase the sensitivity a little bit more to be able to do it. Now, the buttons, of course, I find myself using the buttons too. I know Steven from Tech Buzz was saying he didn't really care for where the buttons were laid out on the side here, rather than up and down vertical, which you see on a lot of these virtual tables, that they're side by side. I actually like it. I actually prefer it over the Toy Shock placement, because what I find, and I'm going to kind of stick my hand here, what I find is, naturally my fingers, two front fingers, the middle finger and pointer finger, just more comfortably fit on the or sit on the flippers, and my finger here um, just naturally rests against the nudge button. So I actually prefer the layout over it being vertically. So one of the first things that I noticed taking it out of the box, right? So one of the things, and we'll do a video in a little bit later, just because this thing, like I said, does have a little heft rather than pulling it out. And I know some of the other videos, including Cool Toys Teardown video, showed the guts inside. But one of the things that I found inside was when I was hooking up the ribbon cable to the monitor, there's a little clasp, and it's not, if you're not dealing with electronics all the time, I didn't know really to clasp it together. And so I'm like, well, why is it falling out? Why am I losing video to the back box? And that was literally a 2-second fix when I got on the phones with the support guys. It'll be addressed in videos, potentially addressed in a manual change in the future. That's the only hiccup I encountered, in setting this thing up. All said, I think I set it up in probably 15 minutes. The longest part of it took was really just screwing on the legs. The packaging was fantastic. Now I have a 1.0 ALU. I have the 1.1. I have a Gamer Pro. The 1.1 was really well packed compared to the 1.0. This is by far the best packing. I mean, dare I say, you could probably drop this thing, and I'm sure God knows what happened with DHL on its transit from China to Hong Kong to New York City to Cincinnati, back from Cincinnati to New York City up to where I live. God knows how many times this thing was banged around, but it came in perfect condition. And I didn't have to worry. There was actually even a slight tear on the outside of the box, but the padding was so thick that it was well shipped. So, like I said, they definitely have learned from experience with shipping, and that was that was pretty good. So, taking out, setting it up, what are some of the other things I encountered so far? I want to say that the team at AtGames has been fantastic, with us, that, that we're lucky enough to be able to get part of the first wave of shipment and listening to feedback, immediately addressing issues. One of the things right out of the gate, now before I had my cabinet, I had heard was haptic feedback wasn't quite as strong, or wasn't working. And man, I'll tell you, in like 24 hours or less than 24 hours, they had that thing up and running. There's 3 settings on it, which I'll show as we go through this. There's a low, medium, and high. And I know what everybody's talking about is, well, how is the haptic feedback? How is it compared to an arcade 1-up? Arcade 1-up isn't out yet, so I haven't had a chance to compare that, obviously, but I do have a Star Wars table coming, so in a future video, I'll definitely point out the differences. Probably not live stream, because we've established tonight that doesn't go so well, but we'll see what happens. But this, for those who aren't up to speed on it, uses exciters, right? So exciters are basically like speakers. There's one here underneath that's pretty close to the surface, and there's another one over here in the corner that's pretty close to the surface. So I'm going to kind of, hopefully not block the camera, but I'm going to show you. So sort of the preferred way, it's going to be a little awkward, when you're using the cabinet, is you sort of want to have your palms rest on the corners, right? So like this area here, because that's where you feel the most haptic feedback. If you're going to play and you're going to play like this, which some people might, or like this, you're probably not going to hear much, because this, again, this is, the speakers are pretty much like right here. And they're, I want to say they're maybe about that big, something like that, like maybe about that big, in the speakers in here. So they're small, but they're called exciters. My guess is the reason why they chose exciters over solenoids is, as I've started to do some research, and you probably heard about it in some of the other videos, solenoids only last so long before they wear out, because it's actually a mechanical part that's triggered. That creates kind of that thunk sound you hear, when you're playing a virtual pinball table. You're going to get more longevity out of the exciters. But that said, if you guys have listened or watched P-Dub's videos, he's recently announced that, yeah, there will be a solenoid option that AtGames is going to offer. I think it might be sometime towards the end of Q1. Please don't quote me on that. No price has been set on it. I am speaking to PK, and hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn, but from my understanding, the way this is equipped, there's not a limit to the amount of solenoids that could be added to this. I don't know what kind of packages, if you'll be able to buy them one at a time on la carte, that I don't know. But I initially thought it was 2 or maybe 4, but when I asked him tonight, I said, hey, can I say it's 4? And he goes, there's really no limit to it. Now, one thing that was spoken about in P-Dub's video is that when the optional control panel comes out for this, which will add a joystick and a trackball, which we saw in leaked photos in P-Dub's video yesterday, that is an either or. So you'll be able to use the control panel or the solenoids, not both. Now, I'm sure I'm one of many, and if you're like me and you want to see everything, plead to PK and AtGames, give us an option where we can add both. My guess, in speaking to PK, is it might be a cost thing. I know personally for me, I want the best experience, and I don't mind paying a few more dollars for something to have that option for both. But so if that's something where you want to see the option for solenoids and a control panel, definitely express that to AtGames. They're fantastic in listening to community feedback. I've been blessed enough coming close to working with them, but having several conversations with the team since this summer. And I'll tell you, my wish list of stuff, I've seen a lot of things coming true that I'd asked for. I certainly don't claim to take any credit for those things happening, but I can tell you that PK and the team are listening very closely to what we want. And this really, for me, hits on all cylinders, or hits on all solenoids, if you want to make a play on that, right out of the gate. Is there some room for improvement? Sure. There can be some tweaks to be made. And I think if anybody had the ALU when it first came out, like what, about a year ago or a little over a year ago, and you look at the progress it's made in the last year, it's pretty darn amazing. I mean, God, you know, had I known, you know, I just the very fact that, you know, the ALU now supports light guns, the fact that they have an official light gun first party, you know, add-on that's coming out, peripheral that's coming out. I mean, you know, so you can only imagine what the future is going to be for this pinball table. So before I continue, I'm going to shut up for a second. I'm just going to take a peek over here, see if you guys have any questions. Please, by all means, post your questions in the chat, you know, as I go along. I have a habit of not shutting up. I'm like the Energizer Bunny. So once you wind me up, you know, I just keep going. But we're going to get into some of the features. I just want to kind of give you a little bit about my experience and what I've learned so far, because I know there are so many different videos out there from influencers. And unless you're like a crack addict, you know, like me, that like literally stops what they're doing and to digest all these videos, you might not be up to speed on everything. So just as a recap, P-Dubs revealed it yesterday. There will be a control panel coming out for this at some point. No price yet set, but it's kind of like the Gamer Mini, but the Gamer Mini will not fit in this. This will have, I believe, I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this. I think it's 6 buttons. There's a picture on that's on Facebook. You'll be able to find it, but it's a joystick, buttons, trackball that will fit into this. I have tried vertical games on that. I'm going to show you guys that tonight. I know you've came for the pinball gameplay, but I will show you on that, and they play amazing. I've been long after PK saying, hey, put out a vertical cabinet for, you know, what about a 3/4 scale cabinet? Well, guess what? If you guys have been watching P-Dub's stream yesterday, a leaked photo of a 3/4 scale cabinet's coming. Now, my personal wish, and I was begging and pleading to PK, I was like, please put out a vertical cabinet. So man, how cool would it be if, you know, they surprise us and, you know, CES comes and they announce we're putting out a vertical cabinet. So, I mean, that's on my wish list, and it would make my day, because I'm a perfectionist. On my ALU, I literally swapped the second player gate and put in a 4-way gate so I can mirror controls, just so I have that arcade authentic, you know, feeling when I'm playing games like Pac-Man, you know, Donkey Kong. You know, they're really not meant for an 8-way octagonal gate. So anyway, that's my hope, that they'll do that with a vertical cab. We'll see. As CES is right around the corner, you know, like Arcade 1-Up, I'm sure AtGames is going to make some announcements. I think it's going to be an interesting 2021 year, you know, war of the retro cabs and pinball tables. So what other things have I noticed so far about this? The one thing I would say, and I haven't, you know, put feedback in there, it is incredibly intuitive. So on this, if you look, like I didn't, because I was so enthusiastic when I started playing this, it very clearly tells you what buttons to press to navigate around. The UI is very well done. The only thing I would say right now that's thrown me, right? So in some games or some menus, the play button acts as select. In other menus, the rewind button acts as select. So I just got in the habit of play, select, and then not reading the menus, was hitting the wrong button. As far as the UI, that's probably the only thing that I can complain about. And it's so insignificant because just look, it's clearly, it's not, you know, I'll move the camera later on to get a closer view of the playfield, but the menus are very clearly outlined. The UI is pretty well done. In fact, I'd say, I think they enhanced the UI better over the ALU with the pinball table. It's really kind of next level, which makes me wonder, you know, when we finally get to an ALU 3.0, man, this thing is just going to really shake the industry up. So what are some other things about this to point out? So coming very soon. Now, I know a lot of people are asking about OTG to demonstrate that tonight. I will show you something from ArcadeNet link. OTG has not been implemented yet using the USB. I've been told it's as early as probably January 8th is the target date, the week of January 8th, to try and get that firmware out to support that for anybody that has the pinball table. because they really want to be able to get visual pinball going. You know, they're fast tracking integration so that, you know, eventually you'll be able to play visual pinball from your PC and get the back glass working. So all of that is a major priority, and PK and the team have been working pretty closely with the visual pinball teams and developers and stuff that you'll see games for in Arcade Net Lake, or Arcade Net, which is also slated to go live next week. So that's pretty cool. I'll also say too, now I'm using a hardwired connection, Ethernet connection for both my ALU and the pinball. And it could be my imagination, but in playing the Arcade Net pinball tables on the pinball, I had a better experience than I did on the ALU. I found less lag. Now they're both using the same kind of Ethernet port. It's 100 MBS. It's not a gigabit Ethernet port, but I did find a better experience. It could be that there's more processing power in this. I'm just speculating that helps with that, because it definitely is a more powerful processor over what we have in ALU. And then again, I think in the teardown, I believe Cool Toy goes in exactly what's in there. I think it's on his YouTube page for anybody who wants to know the exact specs. So I'm going to pause again, just kind of glance over. Can you change the background picture on the UI? So as of present, I tried, and you might have seen it while I was kind of babbling in the background here. It popped up with a message. So I tried to implement a video, just like on the ALU. You can change your video for your screensaver. You can change your video for your tabletop. You can do that on this. When I did try it, though, it pulled down from the server the artwork I'm using on my LU, and it was squished. So I haven't had a real chance to upload any kind of different resolution to see if it will do that, but I was able to change the background on the table, just like you could do in the background on ALU. I haven't done it on the back glass yet, but we can try that. We'll go into the menus and we can look and see if you can change the artwork on the back glass. In fact, that might be a good place to start off. Let me just see if there's any other questions too. For those who are asking, who is PK? PK is the president of AtGames, and he's very quickly become a pretty constant presence in the Facebook page, as is Jason Tierney, who you'll see, and Bill, please excuse me if I mispronounce his name, Bill Logodice. But between the three of those they all work for AtGames, and you'll see very frequently on the various fan pages and then the official AtGames page, and very receptive to feedback. Of course, if you always have any problem with any product you want to go through support, but these guys are there along with a lot of the members of the community to help you out. There is an official Q&A page too. You can always reach out to me too. I haven't officially introduced myself, Glenn Baisley. So I am one of the mods on the Q&A page. So if there's ever questions, feel free to message me as well. I'm always happy to help people. And I want to point out too, I know some of the influencers that have worked hard and helping spread the word about AtGames did receive their cabinets. I paid for this myself. So I am not toting AtGames and saying, hey, how great it is because I got a free cabinet. I paid full price for this baby. It was $600 plus $100 for shipping. And I was lucky enough to spam my keyboard and get the order in really quick and get one of these in the first wave. But yeah, so this is by no means a paid, or if you want to call it, endorsement. This is my honest feedback of what I've seen. I want to try and be as real as possible about this. So anyway, let's go into the menu. I'm going to move the camera a little closer so you guys can see this, and just reposition it. So give me just a moment here. And let's just lower this down. Or actually, I think I'm gonna. See if I can get the right angle on this to get in there and see the play field a little bit better. Come on. Almost wish I held a tiltable tripod head. How am I going to do this? Let's see. Bear with me. There, I will find a way to do this. If I go a little higher. You know, hey, let's try and just go head on and see if that works. That might be better. I think that might work better on here. And we'll back it up a little bit. Okay, I think that might work. So a little delay on my end for what I see on my screen, so I do apologize for all the futzing with this. Okay. All right. Okay. So now, hopefully, I can operate this one. Can you turn off the visual nudging in the settings to make the screen not shake when you nudge? That's a good question. I don't believe so, but let's go through. You know what? So I don't miss anything. I know we got questions about the backlash. Let's start right from the top and go through all the menu settings, which I don't know if anybody's really done that yet. I think that might be the easiest way, so that way I don't ensures that we don't miss anything. So just like the ALU, you have tables. If I hit the menu button, you know, on any one of these things, it'll start the game. But let's go over to ArcadeNet. I think this is a future look at what ArcadeNet is going to look like on the pinball when it relaunches soon. But let's go to BYOG. And so BYOG, there's no CoinOps X in there yet. But I have been told that CoinOps X, add-on X, all of the games that you'll be able to play from that, they'll play at 1080p. So, which is great. But you have add-on X, you have your cloud BYOG. This we'll come back to this in a moment. I'm going to show you a stream through ArcadeNet link from Pinball FX 3. So let's go to settings. Wi-Fi, pretty obvious. You can set your Wi-Fi up, sign in, sign out, parental controls. A lot of this is very similar to the ALU. Wireless pairing, I know even with the ALU, people, or the cord that's out there now, people have been saying, well, what controller can I use? I tried last night an Xbox One X controller on this that's Bluetooth. It paired instantly with it, and I was playing Galaga on this last night in Donkey Kong. So it worked flawlessly. So if you have a core, if you want to use it for whatever reason on the ALU, if you've got your pinball table early or eventually when you get one, and you don't want to put in the control panel in the front, but you do want more controls, you can use an Xbox One controller with it. I know they have some other listed compatible controllers that I believe are on the AtGames website, but I can confirm that an Xbox One X one will work. From my experience, from what I've heard, is that the brand new Series X controllers are not working. I don't know if that's true, but I can confirm a One X controller, which should be the same as the Xbox S Series, should work as well. So this is on the latest version of the firmware, device info. So all of this stuff is pretty much the same. Your health check, UI preference. So let's go to this because I think that is what you guys wanted to see. Okay, so this looks just like the ALU. If I go on and we turn, let's see, background image on. And see, I don't have a background image though. It's not going to pull. Let's see, hang on a second. You know what, let me plug in, I'm going to plug in my USB control, my USB drive, because I believe that has an image on there that we can quickly load, and then we can see if we can change it on the back glass. Let me just grab my drive. So this guy comes in handy, right? This is a 1 terabyte SSD drive that I have in a Sabrent casing. So it was a cheap SSD drive, and it works great, man. I've got everything on there. For educational purposes. I stress that. Okay, let's give it a second to load up. I'm just going to get out of this menu here. I just want to make sure everything loads up. Bear with me. Give it a moment. And of course, now Said it works. It's not reading the drive. Did last night, I promise. All right, let's try that one more time. Oh, there. Hang on. Let's try this again. So let's see if you guys can you turn off the visual nudging? Okay, yeah. So we'll take a look at that as soon as we go through the settings, because we're going to go through all the pinball settings. There's a lot of them. I'm still learning myself. Looks like the drive is loading. Oh, yeah, there we go. It's flashing at the top. Let me give it a second. There's quite a bit on there. And I do hope, if I don't have artwork on here, I will follow up and I'll post on Facebook and let you guys know if you can change it in the back glass. Based on what we just look like in the menu, I suspect you can't. My background image, my background audio. Yes, actually, yeah, this is just, yep. So you can see it change. Here's the background. There's not an option for back glass. However, that's a great thought. You know, that's a great piece of feedback. So if that's something you'd like to see, give that feedback to AtGames. So I think that is a really cool idea to be able to do it. So at present, yeah, you can just change it on the table itself. So it works just like the ALU. Now, again, you know, they just rolled out the firmware for this, and it's very similar to the firmware to what you've seen on the ALU. There's not that many more options so far that are very specific for the table, with the exception of stuff like, you know, the accelerometer calibration, the haptic feedback calibration. So it's not to say that those features can't come. Again, you know, if anybody was here for the ride along with the ALU, you'll see how many features we've had, you know, in the course of the past year. So that's entirely possible that we could get that. All right, so let's back out of that. And the track mode we've all seen on the ALU. That does work on here. I have confirmed that. Let's see. Still have your settings lock, your clock, your startup page, same as you have on the ALU. Data manager to clear it out. Live streaming, I haven't tried it from here yet, but you can live stream with audio, you know, and voice chat just like you can from the ALU. Something really cool about the leaderboards I'll show you too. So I know Meatball Saucy, I'm going to be knocking you off, and P-Dubs, when you guys have your cabinets all set up, I'm on for the ride, man. Haunted house is my jam. So look out. Definitely going to go after you guys in high scores, or at least try. So now that I said that, I'll probably fail miserably. Game packs for future game packs. For those of you who are not familiar with the subscriptions in ArcadeNet, there will be a free subscription where you'll get some tables, but the real meat and potatoes is going to be behind the subscription tier. Think of it kind of, if you're familiar with like the Xbox Game Pass, you'll get a bunch of content that will be included in your subscription, and that's really where all the VPin tables, the visual tables, and I think, don't quote me again, but I think some of the other future stuff like the title stuff and all might all be behind that subscription. I don't think they've actually confirmed or said yet if you'll be able to buy and pay once and download it. Or that might be something they're considering in the future. But you know, as far as I know, you know, with what's been announced by the other YouTubers, the subscription tier, it looks like the bulk of the pinball stuff will be behind that, with the exception, of course, of the 22 games that come on this. Visual pinball will always be free. So I want to correct myself. That visual pinball will always be free. It's going to be some of the additional games that are original content, things like that will be behind it. So, you know, anybody want to chime in? If I'm not correct, I'm saying something, please, by all means, correct me. Which operating system is running on this machine? I believe it's Linux based. If anybody wants to correct me again, best off for that, I encourage you to go look at Cool Toys video, because he has the specs of literally what's under the hood in this. So I think this may be Android and or Linux based. Not 100% sure. So I don't want to misquote on that. I do apologize, but like I said, Cool Toy did an exceptional teardown video that really shows everything that, you know, if you're a tech geek like me, it goes into the real specifics of what hardware is in this. And I think he may end up even getting into the OS in his video as well. So here's something interesting, right? So HDMI setting, these are the two ones that you guys really want to see. So when I go to HDMI setting, it's cool, right? So on the ALU, if you hit the channel button, it'll flip the HDMI when you have something plugged into this. When you press it on the pinball cabinet, you get this menu. So let me just walk around here. So what the menu basically does is it allows you to choose the HDMI signal where that's going to go to. Is it on the second display, which is the back box, or the main display? And it also includes the degree. So pinball settings, before we dive into that, some of you may have already seen that. What's cool about this, again, it's all about options. You have a master override that can control all the tables for things like the volume, you know, your display modes, flipper modes, or you can go into individual tables and you can remap. You can adjust your volume and music levels, things like that individually. And then, you know, if you want to just reset everything all at once, you can come back here and reset all the defaults for the table. So I like that they give you options. The UI is very, very well done for this. So let's get out of here and let's go back and check out some tables. We'll start with the built-in ones. Does anybody have a specific table they want to see? It's P-Dubs. Are we playing pinball? P-Dubs, if you just tuned in now, man, I've been hailing your praises all night long. Just, you know, I aspire to be you. Anybody got a selection that they want to see? Call it out. If not, I'll just randomly choose something. P-Dubs, you better get your machine soon because I'm taking you on. No? All right. Oh, let's see what we got here. All right. Let's just go. You know what? Let's go to one of my favorites. I'm going to choose Haunted House for starters. Okay. Now I turned up the haptic feedback to 1.0. There you can really or not 1.0. The accelerometer to 1.0 to get the maximum effect for the nudge and tilt. P-Dubs, I didn't see it in the menu. I don't think you can turn off the nudge at all. Somebody asked about that, but I did not see that in the menu to turn that off. Honestly, I don't know why you'd want. I mean, you can. So if you're worried about accidentally hitting the table and nudging it, you can lower the sensitivity on it. Or like Steven did in his stream the other night, if you're afraid your hands are gonna hit the buttons in the back, you can actually just remap the buttons so that they're more to the back of the cabinet and you're using the flippers in the front if you're afraid of accidentally hitting them. So again, you know, P-Dub, so he says it's all about options. All right, so let's pull this back and see how badly I suck. Hopefully the mic, well, I don't know how well we're going to pick up the thumping because I'm on my headset. I'm going to kind of lean in closely and hopefully my big head's not in the way. Oh, it is. So, yeah, it's a little awkward to play this way. So, you saw I just did a nudge. See, these are the nudge buttons, and I tilted too much and lost. That's your nudge buttons. Somebody's asking if you could. That's right. It was if you could turn off the nudge table movement effect. That's never been an option, even on the pinball games on Steam. So there is no option to remove that. That's actually part of the software. So now, see, I'm hitting it pretty hard. I'd say the only thing is, and this is the accelerometer, I have it set to hard, is I'd almost like to see them increase the sensitivity for it. I've got it set at the highest setting, and I still feel like it's not quite there. You got to really hit it. I'd like to see it, you know, a little bit more. Like I said, I suck. It's also pretty difficult to play this at this angle. One thing I didn't mention too, for those of you who don't know, this is real glass, man. It's pretty hard. I think it's tempered glass, but it's pretty hard. I don't know if it's scratch resistant. Maybe PW can chime in with there whether or not it's scratch resistant, but it's a pretty good hard surface. I don't think you're going to easily scratch this like you will the Arcade 1-Up, which is not. It's not the. So let's go back to. Going to switch to another cabinet. Okay. Or another table rather. Let's go to. My wife, her favorite one is Going Nuts. And I said last night, I said, wow, that's fitting. Good thing she had a lot of alcohol for New Year's Eve. She let that one slide. This one happens to be one of my favorites. It doesn't use the plunger. It's automatic. Hence the reason of Going Nuts. It's just going to start firing all the pinballs for those who haven't played this one. But I do. This is one of them. Some people don't like this table. I happen to like this one just because gets kind of really crazy, hence the name. Like I said, it's a little tough for me to play it at this angle, but you can see there, I just hit it really hard and it nudged a little bit. So for sure, one of the things I like I mentioned earlier is compared to the Toy Shock, this is running at 1080p, 60 frames per second versus 720 frames, 720p, 30 frames per second. It is definitely a silky smooth experience in my opinion. It runs really, really nice. The play field is super crisp, with the exception, I know some people pointed out that it's a little blurry down the side. I don't mind that with the instructions. All the instructions and tips and tricks and things like that are available in full text that you can go through. There's actually digital manuals for all the games. So for me, that doesn't really bother me because honestly, I'm never going to read that anyway. So I don't mind it that it's a little blurry down there. The important thing is the play field, and that looks nice and vibrant and nice and crisp. One other thing I noticed so far is with the plunger, and I think it's been pointed out by some others, is that a Cool Toy I think may have pointed out is that there needs to be a little tweaking with the plunger. When you pull it out, there's a little bit of a dead zone, and they're already aware of it at games, and that's something that they're looking to address. So, my guess is that, by the time this reaches the masses, any of the little quirks that we're finding now, and there really aren't that many of them, all of those will be have been addressed by the time this gets out to the masses. But comparatively, the state of this compared to say the ALU when it first arrived, I mean, this is so much in a better place than the original ALU. They really did take the time to go through this. Oop, quick play, quick game. I just want to take a quick moment to see if anybody has any questions pop up. Let's see, Prime Arcade, playing people. Somebody says if you aspire to be like P-Dubs, aspire to be drunk. No. Man, I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna give that brother some love, man. If he has been incredibly helpful to the community, and I'm gonna say it flat out, man. Sometimes these guys, people shit on them like they're employees for these companies, and you know what, man? I can say, having done professional video production, the amount of hours I've spoken to P-Dubs, for the people that, watch Legend Center, he would spend minimum 6 hours a week prepping for that show. And he didn't get a lot in return for it. I mean, yes, he did get a pinball table on it, but the amount of stuff comes in. The bottom line is, man, dedication. He and Steven are two of the most dedicated guys I've seen to their craft. And, do an amazing job. I mean, how many times does this guy stop on his lunch break and suddenly put out a bulletin, man? Like we're going into World War III. and it's major news. And I will stop what I'm doing to watch it because he always has good information. So, you know, you got to give these guys some respect and love for what they're doing for the community, man. It wouldn't be what it is without these guys, you know, and it's not like they're looking for a handout. You know, they get plenty of stuff, you know, that they're paying out of their own pocket for, but you know, what they give back to the community is far more than anything they ever receive. I can tell you that. So let's try and pull up one that somebody hasn't really shown that much. Let's try Victory. I know usually like I love Haunted House, but that seems to be a big go-to. And I know P-Dubs loves the Rescue 911, but let's try something a little different. So I don't know how easy it is to see, but I'm pulling back the plunger right now. I know I'm not fully on camera, but I am pulling it. I got it maybe about a eighth of a way out, and now it's just starting to move. So there is a little bit of a dead zone in the beginning, and there is a little bit of a dead zone at the end. And again, that's something that AtGames is already aware of, and they're working to, you know, feedback, and I think they are working to correct that. I haven't had much time with these particular games, so I will admit that I completely suck at them. But my goal is to get as good as possible to take on the likes of Meatball, Saucy, and P-Dubs. And now that I've said that, boy, I better put my money where my mouth is. The only good thing about P-Dubs not getting his complete cabinet yet is the fact that, and I just realized I'm blocking the screen, is I have more time to hone in these games, hone my skills. Apologize that my butt was blocking the camera. I'm like in this really awkward position right now trying to play this. Another thing I've noticed with the haptic feedback is the amount of feedback also depends on the table. So I've noticed, like in Haunted House, you really feel the thump. You know, I have it on the high setting. Some other tables, not as much. It might even be a cool thing down the line if they add the ability to adjust the feedback per table and let you save it. That might be a cool option. You know, because sometimes, you know, I do like it stronger, I like the thump, but you know, it might be nice if they increased it more and then you had a little bit more of a range. But again, these are all things that, you know, I would imagine could easily be corrected with a firmware update. And if you're seeing the table shaking, it's because I'm in an awkward position and keep hitting the nudge button. Now, I've had the opportunity to play some of the more expensive virtual pinball tables, and you know, a friend of mine is asking me, how does it compare, right? I got to say, the one thing that stood out to me compared to some of these more expensive ones, now obviously this is not a 4K display, but the image is very, very vivid. And I've played some $5,000–6,000 machines, and you know, the brightness level and the color is you know, as vivid as any of those tables, more expensive ones I played. And you know, it is a really good experience. Like I said, I'm sucking at this game, but it is a really good experience with that faster frame rate. I don't know how well that's actually capturing on this because it is hard to be able to capture stuff like that. So let's go grab another one. Let's see if there's any questions that's popped up. Let's see. Are you getting a false sound with low end since the subwoofer turned out to be exciters? So in the settings, right? So by default, the master volume, well, right now I have this set. Now here's an interesting thing I played with, right? So you have the volume controls up here. I have this set at 100. But if I go into the settings, there's a master volume and your effects volume and all the other volumes are set at 50%. What I did last night is I tried to set all those at 100. So I said, all right, well, now if I have this 100, it's a really true full range. What I did find is if everything is set completely at 100, the sound was so loud on here, coming from here, rattling the table, that it kind of took away from the impact of the exciters a little bit. I'm finding actually with the default sound the way it is and turning the exciters up to high, that the volume was pretty good. Now, there are other people that might want to make this thing scream, and I'm sure there'll be modders that will put in larger speakers or better speakers. For me, I'm pretty happy with the volume level. I don't know that I would want it that really loud. You know, but I was able to turn everything up, like I said, across the board to 100 and then max this out, and I didn't get any crackle. But I felt that everything was just vibrating because of the intensity of the overall volume coming from the back box, and so it felt like it was taken away a little bit from the exciters. I don't know if that kind of answers the question or not. So yeah, so are you getting full sound with the low ends? So yeah, so right, so yeah, again, it's not a subwoofer; they are exciters, but it's more the way they work. And I think I don't know if it was Cool Toy or somebody showed it. Is they almost the way an exciter works is it almost presses. It's not like a speaker per se; it almost like presses up against the surface. The way it works, and that's sort of how you get that tactile feedback. I know I'm probably not explaining that right at all, but you can feel it. There is a sweet spot. Again, your hands got to be real. Your palms really got to be on the corners of the cabinet. If you're a player and your hands are not resting on the corners of the cabinet, you're not going to feel it. You're definitely not going to feel it. But I think most people tend to lean forward and rest your hands and palms on it. Anyway, I've got big hands. I don't know how well this is going to work with people with real, like little children with smaller hands, where their hand might not hit as much surface area because the exciters are not to the very edge of the cabinet. They're a little bit inward, you know, because obviously you have the frame of the cabinet. So, you know, if you look at pictures online where you can see a little bit more detail, those exciters seem to be placed, if I had to guess, they're almost right under the control panel part, which begs the question, when this comes out with a replaceable control panel, how is that going to work? Because I'm pretty certain that those exciters, I haven't really pulled it apart, and I got to go back and look at Cool Toys video, but I'm pretty certain they're pretty close to under the front. So I don't know if it's a matter where, you know, you would have to pop those exciters out, or maybe the new control panel has the exciters already in it, you know, and it's just plug and play. We'll find out when that time eventually arrives. So let's try another table. If you like what you're seeing, I know this is I'm kind of babbling to some degree about some of this stuff, but if you like what you're seeing, I'm hoping to get more streams going, a little bit more tight, if you will, less rambling. But if you do like what you're seeing, please give us a like on the YouTube channel. Also, I'm a filmmaker. Check out my other content especially if you're into horror stuff. Check that out as well. You know, there's a lot of fun content on there. So let's get out of this and go check out another table. While I'm pulling this out, I'm going to just check real quick. Anybody have a suggestion for table you want to see? Throw it in a chat. Anyone know which U.S. retailers plan to carry this? It hasn't been announced. I would guess it's going to probably be buystuff.com, and it's going to be Sam's Club. I would assume that's got to be a given. So I see a class 1812 and 1812 and Wipeout. See a couple of people asking for 1812. So let's check out 1812 first. Then we'll do some Wipeout. Wipeout's a really fun one. I was trying out the other night. I just recently bought the entire catalog of all of these things when they were on a Steam sale to kind of start getting used to them before this came. But there's just so many tables that, you know, take you a million years to go through them. So let's see, class of 1812. Okay. Really like this table. This one's a lot of fun. Okay.
Shoot the ball.
Okay, this is usually where I screw up right about now. My eye coordination is not what it used to be. Oh, look at that. If you're seeing the table wobble, it's because, like I said, I'm at a kind of an awkward angle trying to shoot this, and I keep hitting the nudge buttons by mistake. When you play it normally you're standing in front of it. I know Steve was saying he felt it was easy to, Steven from Tech Bus, it was easy enough to hit them. I find it actually, I like the layout. And I didn't really find it was easy to hit it. My wife was hitting the nudge buttons quite a bit, but again, you know, if you want, you can remap those easily enough. One thing that I don't think a lot of people talked about too is there is a pro mode, and the pro by default the any game tables that have flippers that say the top or the front of the table and the back of the table are combined, but the pro mode lets you actually separate the flippers, which is really cool. Oh yeah, see, that's where the nudge would have come in handy. Let's try that again. I know that once P-Dubs gets his and he gets a real review up, it's going to be far more thorough than mine probably is, because he's been doing it for quite a while. Like I said, I can only aspire to be as good as him, you know. I'm usually more used to being behind the camera than in front of the camera. I haven't done a lot of in front of the camera stuff in probably several years. Certainly not streamed. Now, I know one of the other things that I've seen online, people are asking is like, well, you know, is the table feel three-dimensional? So one of the things that sets it apart over the Toy Shock, for example, is the fact that this display is recessed. So it does add to that three-dimensional illusion to it. So if you are a big pinball arcade, you know, Pinball Effects and Zachariah fan, you played them all on Steam, and especially if you have a high-end PC, you'll know there's quite a few effects. So one of the things, of course, that's missing that you're not going to get on a $600 machine is there is that little bit more graphic fidelity where it does look a little bit more three-dimensional. You know, these are a little flatter on the tables, and it's simply because, you know, it's running off of essentially what we've seen in some cases on like the Android versions, you know, not the same as what you see on a cell phone or a tablet, but it's obviously not, you know, my $3,000 PC is, of course, with the GTX 1080 Ti card, is going to look better than a $600 machine, but it's completely serviceable. You know, this looks fantastic. When you're playing it, you know, you easily get absorbed into it. It's a great experience. I mean, you know, you quickly forget that, yeah, sure, you know, does it look like the bumpers are really moving, you know, like you might get in on, you know, a higher end graphics card on your PC? No. But, you know, when you get into the game, you tend not to notice those things unless you're really scrutinizing it. I mean, it's a really, really good experience, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it over, you know, over the Toy Shock. Now, I am very curious to see how well the arcade one-up will be. Like I mentioned earlier, I ordered the Star Wars table. So I'm going to be very curious to see. I think P-Dub said he ordered both the Marvel and the Star Wars one. I'm not sure. But I'm going to be very curious to see how that plays. I mean, obviously, it's a smaller playfield. It's a 24-inch playfield. And they're 720p. So I'm going to guess it's probably 30 frames per second on the arcade one-ups. But they've been making all this big deal about, oh, you know, the solenoids. We'll see how well the solenoids really add up, you know, once we get it. Mine, I think, is supposed to be shipping January 22nd. We'll see. So, but I plan on definitely doing a review of it. I'm going to have a more thorough review of this too. I'm hoping to get some time this weekend and you know, or at least maybe in the next week after I spend more time with this to do a really thorough review. I just wanted to kind of get the live stream out now for people to get a look at it and get a chance to ask some questions. I know that there's been quite a few videos so far, and definitely some with better caliber video. You know, Cool Toy did the teardown and whatnot, but you know, like I said, I wanted to try and show you guys, give you something to check out while you're waiting for your own cabinets to come. What I really enjoy too about this, and something that was sorely absent from the Toy Shock, is games like lights, camera, action. So the back glass on this is an active back glass, right? So if you're familiar with lights, camera, action, there's like parts in the game where you got a quick draw. Well, because it was a static back glass on the Toy Shock, those elements didn't work. Sure, was the game playable, but it wasn't really playable, and it wasn't the only game like that. And to me, those games should never have been included on that Toy Shock at all, simply for that reason. But that's something that's remedied with the AtGames, man, and I am really, really happy to see it, because lights, camera, action, especially film guys, it's just one of my favorites. So let's take a look at Wipeout, and actually then we'll circle back and I'll show you what I'm talking about with that, with lights, camera, action. I'm just going to let the ball kind of fall out of there. Let's just swap games. We'll go over to Wipeout. Okay. Oh, so you know what? Before we do that too, I want to show you something pretty cool. So if I hit, let me make sure I'm hitting the right button. But you can pull the leaderboards right up on this, and instantly, when it submits, it instantly see where you're at, which I really dig. It's just the way the UI in this is really good. It's easy to navigate things. I like the fact that you can easily pull up the leaderboards and just see them on the fly. I see Cool Toy on this game is #1 ranking. I'm #2, and I suck at it, which means not a lot of people played this game yet. So on time, I'm sure when Meatball Saucy gets this and P-Dubs get this, I'm going to be schooled completely. So let's go take a look at Wipeout. And while that's loading up, I'm going to peek over, see if you guys have any comments or questions. P-Dubs leaked the control panel that's likely eventually coming out for this with joystick, buttons, and trackball. That's going to take this even to a next level. Yes. And somebody's asking for Genie, so definitely we'll check out Genie. So yeah, P-Dubs had this cool video, and I had an opportunity to talk to PK, if you're tuned in a little late, last night. And one of the things that P-Dubs had mentioned, and I don't know if it was 100% clear, maybe it was, I know I was asking P-Dubs, is whether or not you could add the solenoids and the control panel. You can't. At least not at this time. I begged him that, I said, look, speaking from an avid fan of AtGames and an active member of the community, I guarantee you a lot of people are going to want both. So if that's something you want to see, speak up, because nothing is out of the realm of possibility, I would say. I mean, look, who would imagine that you'll be able to play your PC games on this and use the back glass. And that's something they're fast tracking. They're working on that, right? So you'll be able to have that experience, play your pinball arcade games, play your Zaccaria, play your Zen, pinball that, you don't have to go buy an arcade one up for, even though you can do it. Hey, like P-Dub says, it's all about options, right? But the fact that you can do that, the fact that they're enabling that, means that, hey, maybe we will be able to have the solenoids and the control panel. One thing that is cool is I asked him, well, is it 2 solenoids? Is it 4 solenoids? And he said, there's no limit to the solenoids. Can't speak to what kind of packages will come out, if they'll be a la carte and you buy them one at a time. I don't know. None of that's been announced. No pricing's been announced, but I'm really excited about the possibilities. The fact that, you can play vertical games on this, and I'll show that in a little while. I played it with an Xbox controller, and they play sweet, man. They play really, really, really sweet on this, this thing. And I begged him, I'm like, man, now that, that 3/4 scale leaked out, I'm like, please tell me there's a vertical cabinet coming out. But, no answers. So who knows? I know they did say that there's exciting announcements still coming with CES right around the corner. Maybe we'll hear something. Maybe there will be. That would be cool. So anyway, let's pop on Wipeout. Check that out. Let's move over to the side. Ah, sorry. As I was moving, I just lost the ball. Like I said, this is a pretty awkward position to be able to try and play in. You know what I'll do too is after this, I'm going to raise the camera a little bit. Let me see. You can see the back glasses. Realize you're not really getting a great look at the back glass. Bear with me. Try and see if I can get everything in there for you guys so you can see it. Okay, here we go. So now you can see everything. Ah, you can add all the nudge you want in the world, and I still forget to use it. Love pinball, but I never claimed to be a pro at it, that's for sure. My first pinball experience when I was a kid is, I'm a little kid, my dad had down the basement Playboy pinball, which I begged my dad not to sell, and he did years later, man. I wish I had that because I looked it up several years ago, and what that thing went for now, I could have paid for my whole college tuition and then some. But this was, thank God, I think he sold this. This was in the 70s, man. I was a little kid. Ah, use the nudge. And I use it the wrong way. Really bad. But I do dig the fact, and the Toy Shock had it too, I do dig the fact that all the manuals for these things that really explain how to play these games is in here. You know, that somebody asked recently, well, you know, why would I care? Just play it. Well, I mean, like anything, right? You play, you know, any kind of video game you play, you want to get good at the game, right? You know, it's just like a Street Fighter game. You want to learn those moves. Mortal Kombat, you want to learn those executions. Same thing, you know, you want to learn how to do the various trick shots and things like that. And they explain, you know, what all the different elements of the table does in full manuals for each of the tables that you can look at digitally right on the cabinet itself. Let's try that one more time because I really suck at it. And then we'll pull up Genie. So if you tuned in late, I showed earlier, OTG is not up and running yet, but I did show what Zen looked like running on this. And it looks pretty sweet, man. It looks pretty sweet. You know, I was playing it with the PS4 controller. So when you know, if you tune back in this and look at the stream later on, you'll be able to see it. I know PK was saying as early as the week of January 8th that OTG should hopefully be live and ready to go. But I tried it with Arcade Netlink, and the flippers, everything are already recognized. And then I plugged in an HDMI earlier in the stream and used PS4 controller, and it played great. Oh, hey, wow! I didn't realize the whole back of that table moves. Pretty cool. The nudge worked that time, man. I got it just in time. Wow, the sound effects make fun of you reminds me of P-Dubs and Steven on Legend Center goofing on each other. Let's hope we get a Legend Center season 2, man. I had a lot of fun watching that. Yeah, this it is a really good, smooth, silky experience. You know, I like the way this plays. And honestly, had somebody not pointed out about the little bit of dead zone, which it looks like AtGames is already working on addressing with the plunger, I don't think I would have noticed it. I don't think anybody would really notice it. But look, there are more qualified YouTube people that really pour over these things, and they know what to look for. I didn't immediately catch that, but again, I only had it for like I think an hour last night to mess around with the holiday. Let's go check out Genie. I'll load that up, and then I'm going to kind of pop over there, see if you guys have anything else you want to see. And I like how easily this submits the scores. It's not kind of the weird way that the ALU does, where you have to have it just the right point for it to upload it, where it takes screenshot. I mean, the leaderboard, the way it submits the leaderboard and everything on this, I really do like it. They really perfected it pretty good on this. Okay, so while that's loading up, I'm just going to take a peek, see if there's any questions here. Thank you, Meatball. How's the viewing angle? Could people standing off to the side see the code? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The only thing I noticed when I was playing, because health issues, I got to sit down, man. After a while, I can't stand for too long. But when I was sitting down on my bar stool last night and I was playing the, well, I'll talk as we start to play this. As I was sitting down last night on my bar stool and I was playing some vertical games to check it out on this. One thing I noticed is the angle's fine, but when you're lower, you're getting a little bit of the glare. You see at a lower angle from the back box on there. So I just threw a towel over the back of it and it played fine. I didn't get that reflection from the back box. When you're standing up or even down, I'm kind of crouching over. It's kind of a little hard for you guys to see. I'm kind of crouching like this right now. I really don't get any glare. But if you're sitting down and trying to play this, you're going to probably get a little glare notice the glare from the back box a little bit. But I suspect, look, these things are really designed to be standing up and playing anyway. But, that's the only thing I noticed. But the viewing angle on it is really good. You could definitely stand off the side, and I've not seen anything where it really fades. It's pretty decent. Come on. So I know there's been some people out there that, have made a comment like, oh, well, why would I want these old games, right, man? When I got Pinball Effects, I'm going to get Arcade 1-Up. I dig the modern tables too, but I also like the classics, but keep in mind, man, that, we've seen already through ArcadeNet, the visual pinball tables, where some of those are more modern style tables. And we don't know what Taito has in development with AtGames. Some of those could be very modern Zen style Pinball Effects 3 style tables. We don't know. And it's not to say that AtGames can't have more modern style games come out in the future. Anything, with these games, any kind of game can play on this hardware. So it doesn't have to be necessarily limited, to the classic style that we're seeing. And keep in mind now, these are the Gottlieb tables, but Pinball, Farsight Studios has the Stern license, so we could potentially see Stern tables in the future. A lot of people are like, oh, what about like, Addams Family and other stuff like that. Look, some of these other bigger games, so anything is possible. Anything is possible. I know for me, you put on some of those, like Elvira tables or, Terminator tables or whatever. You offered me those tables and I had to pay for them, even outside of subscription. I'd pay for them. Oh, in a heartbeat. So, look, the thing I can say is just keep your feedback coming, in the forums and things like that, and to AtGames. And, they're really listening. They're really been, I think they've made a big milestone this past year, especially around this table. With the white glove treatment that they've really given to ensure that this rollout, once it reaches the masses, is as good as an experience as possible. I mean, they really turned me around. I like I said, earlier, it was beginning of the summer, I blasted them, man. And I am now a really devout supporter of AtGames. I really like what they've done. I'm really excited about where they're going. You know, I've been privy to a few things that haven't come out yet that I know about. And I'm excited. I'm excited for 2021. I'm excited to see what they're going to announce, you know, maybe around CES time. I always try and discuss with P-dubs and, you know, and get information out of him like everybody else does. He goes, no, NDA, man, NDA. And I respect that because I'm the same way. It's NDA, man. I can't say. But, you know, hey, if we live a little closer, I try to get the man drunk and get that information out of him because I'm dying to know. I'm dying to know where this stuff is going. I admit I don't know everything. But what I do know, I think I can say wholeheartedly, there's a lot to look forward to. And if you haven't checked it out, check out P-Dub's stream from yesterday where he had the leaked photos at 3/4 scale. And he also showed the control panel that's coming for the pinball table. So we're going to get an optional control panel that's going to have joystick, buttons, and a trackball. So man, now you can, you know, now you can play Centipede the way it's been meant to play with a trackball in a nice size vertical screen. No more of, you know, tiny little vertical screen on the ALU. And hey, it plays great because that's how I've been playing it. I love me some Millipede and Centipede, but you know, vertical screen, that's the way it's meant to be played, baby, definitely. And AtGames is listening, and we're getting options. So hopefully these things get out, you know, into the wow, I suck. Hopefully these roll out, you know. Hopefully everything lightens up with COVID and delays, and after the holidays, and you know, and these get out into the hands of the masses as quickly as possible. I think people are really going to enjoy this. It's definitely worth the wait. I know there are a lot of people disappointed because they haven't gotten the cabinet yet, or people that did supposed to get the cabinet haven't only gotten half the cabinet. But it is absolutely worth the wait. And it's just going to be an even better experience by the time you get it. Because I mean, just like every week, you know, they're doing firmwares for the ALU. They're going to do that for the pinball. So it's going to be an even better experience by the time it gets into your hands. And it's a great experience now. I'm very pleased with it. I mean, quite honestly, I didn't know what to expect, and it actually exceeded my expectations. I'm very pleased with it. You know, Toy Shock, I was very disappointed with. I waiting for the latest version. I turned down. I think it was. I'm going to say it's like the 1.5 board is the second board. I know P-Dubs had it, and it fixed a lot of that lag. But it just soured me so much, the lag on the Toy Shock, that I didn't want to play it anymore. And I said to Toy Shock, I said, you know what? I'll pay. Send me that third board when it's available. I want to get the latest board. If I'm going to wait, I want to wait. But now, honestly, I'll get it, and I'll either sell that table or I'll just mod it and not even use it, because at this point, I just don't see the need to go back to it. This is a far better experience than the Toy Shock. And so one thing that I've noticed, I'm like, well, where are the pinball games? Where are the pinball games, man? You know, and I'm like on Skype, and I think it was like, I don't know, it was like 12 o'clock last night, and I was ready to I'm like, yo, it's broken. There's no pinball games. If you hit the menu button, now I'm going to do it wrong. Come on. I'd see now, look at this. I'm completely butchering this one up. I did it last night. Where is it? Oh, wait, hang on. Yeah, you got to be down on tables. When you hit the menu button, the little side pops out. So these are the kind of things that, you know, as influencers or people that make videos and stuff online, we'll point these things out, because it wasn't readily apparent for me. This probably works the same way on the Gamer Pro and the ALU. I honestly have, up until the pinball table, I've not tried it in vertical mode, so I didn't know the menu button popped that out. So, but I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So let's see. Let's choose Cloud Pinball. Okay. I just got to grab a drink real quick. Now, I do know that they're working to get these so that they'll use the back glass. They're not using the back glass at the moment. So don't be surprised you're not going to see that, but that is on the roadmap. That'll be coming. And I think PK was saying that that's a priority. to be able to get that done. I'm going to kind of sneak over here and I'm going to completely bastardize the game, trying to play while huddled against the wall so my big body is not blocking the screen. Now, I don't know if this will change later on, but right now to pull the plunger back, it uses the D-pad. I don't know whether or not eventually, PK, maybe if you're in your chat, maybe you can elaborate if that's on the roadmap to allow the actual physical plunger to work with these games. Man, that's loud. I'm, by the way, if you haven't played this game, man, this game is awesome. All right, so let's try this. Oh. Like I was mentioned before, I really found that these games are playing way better on the Legends Pinball than they ever played on the ALU. I have not encountered any lag yet. Not any, other than losing the ball like you just saw because I suck. I've not encountered any lag yet. I'm hardwired in. I haven't played it Wi-Fi, but I was hardwired on the ALU, and I was still periodically getting some lag. But it seems to be a better experience on the Legends Pinball. What I'll do is after I lose the ball, I'm going to tilt the camera down. I just realize it's kind of not showing the full play field. Oops. Yeah, let me just go tilt this camera down a little bit. You guys can see more of that play field. There we go. I was trying to show the back glass more when we had the Zen. Oops. And I suck. Of course, I haven't done this yet, so I don't know what buttons do what. Oh, there we go. So let's take a look at another table. Now, I haven't done anything to change it. This is the default settings when I loaded this up. So let's pull up. I know Leprechaun is like probably one of everybody's favorites. So we'll take a look at that, and then we'll throw on Space Ramp real quick, some of the newer stuff. But let's see how Leprechaun can, because by now probably everybody's played this thing to death on the ALU, so you can see how it performs. Apologize again too. Earlier at the beginning of the stream, we had a few technical difficulties. Had a storm come through here earlier, so everything I had set up got knocked out. So, and thank you everyone for joining. If you like what you're seeing, give us a like. Check out the other content I have on here. If you're a horror fan, we've got plenty of that to go around. That's what I usually do, is more horror stuff than when I'm not busy gaming. Now, I found Leprechaun King really plays really smooth. I was very, very impressed, because this is one of the games that honestly I had a lot of trouble with and found a lot of lag on the AOU, but man, it plays really, really good on the Legends Pinball. And I know it's using the same Ethernet port. It's not a gigabit. It's still a 100, but it just, I don't know, man. It's, it could be that extra horsepower under the hood, but they do play better. At least I'm experiencing I have a better experience with the. And honestly, this is my preferred way anyway. Nothing beats you playing it on a real pinball table. not there, but hey, if you don't have it yet, you still have the Gamer Pro. You've got the ALU. You've got that 3/4 that's coming. It's options, right? P-Dubs always says it's about options. And that's what AtGames is giving us. And, we got a lot more options coming soon. I mentioned before, I've been privy to a couple of insider things, and I'm really, really excited. I'm really excited about what's coming. In fact, I begged PK. I'm like, can I say a few things tonight? But I get it. Got to save some of that magic. Can't share all the magic. We've had a lot of magic with all the announcements, man. It just keeps getting better and better. So, but I'm excited. I'm on board, man, for whatever's coming. So let's take a look at Space Ramp. Oops, am I hitting the right button? Oh, there we go. Okay, take a look at Space Ramp, and then if there's anything you guys want to see, put it in chat. I'll take a look right after Space Ramp. My laptop, unfortunately, is not that close to me, so I can't lean over easily and check it out. So I do apologize if I'm not immediately answering any questions that pop up. I just went into it a little too soon. Let's give it a moment. Okay. And again, too, this is silky smooth. The webcam, these streams are never really going to capture the true experience for the frame rate on it. So if you're seeing it looks laggy, I can tell you it's not laggy. I've not seen any detectable lag at all. That's the problem. The streams never really totally capture. You really got to experience it for yourself. But it's been a really good experience.
Get ready. One player.
I didn't check. No, we don't have nudge yet. Does nudge? Oh, nudge works on the buttons, but it doesn't work. Let me actually. No, not with the accelerometer yet. But I'm sure that's probably something that's on the roadmap. PK maybe can shed some light on there if he's still in the stream. And these games sound terrific, man. The sound on this, I know it's hard to hear it coming through my headset. But the sound on this machine is really nice. Oops.
Shoot again. Get ready.
If you haven't yet checked it out yet, check out Cool Toys' video. He did a really cool teardown video. He's done some other things that goes over the features of the cabinet. There's been a lot of great videos out there. TechBuzz just did a video the other day. He hasn't gotten his backlash yet, but still pulled off a really cool video and stream with his wife. And I know P-Dubs, once he gets his, he'll be on fire. There's been a lot of good stuff coming. And there's going to be more and more videos coming too as these get into more hands. The holiday, I think I spent more time with you guys on this stream tonight so far with this than I've had a chance. So, but what I've tried so far, I've really enjoyed. And shout out to, it was literally, I know PK's family was literally waiting to celebrate New Year's Eve. And he took the time out to talk to me last night and make sure everything was smooth and hooked up okay with the cabinet. I mean, that's the kind of white glove treatment and next level support that I like to see. I'm all about customer service. I've worked in the industry. I've won customer service awards, and I don't like subpar customer service. And from what I've seen, AtGames has evolved quite a bit this past year, and they're making great strides to really improve things and create a better experience for everybody. And I'm really looking forward to the new year. All right, so let's pop out of this. I'm going to take a pause and see if there's anything that you guys want to see. write it in the chat, any questions you have. Let me just hit the button to get out of here. If you like what you're seeing, I'm hoping to eventually get more structured videos and streams going, but more content out there. So if you like what you see, give me a shout, give me a like. Let us, any of the influencers, everybody, in the forums, know what you want to see. What do we got here? These options with a co-option could be treacherous. Let's see. It's going back here. Scroll, make sure I didn't miss anything. Do a 24-volt knock. Oh, okay. Somebody was there putting some specs about 24-volt knockers. Everything else can be 12-volt. Yeah, anything that you have about recommendations for features and specs, I would definitely send them over to support at AtGames. Look, certainly you can always give a shout out to PK and Jason Tierney, in the forums as well. But it's always best, I would put a subject line about features or feature requests, send them over to support at AtGames. Rest assured that stuff will make its way back up there because they're watching, especially the pinball now. They're watching everything like a hawk. If it's a different email address and I'm giving out the wrong one, it's not support at PK or PDubs or TechBuzz. Stephen, if you're still in the chat, please put that email in there. But best of my knowledge, shoot a message over to support. Let them know what features you're looking for. Let's see. Gotta make my screen a little bit bigger because as I get older, I'm going blind. PK is saying about fans making the product sound like a kitchen fridge. Well, one thing I can say for anybody that's thinking about modding, and for me, I don't know why, personal preference, why I would want to mod this, aside from maybe putting the solenoids in it. There's a lot of space in there. I think, what was it? I think Stephen from TechBuzz made a joke the other night and said that, it's big enough you could fit P-Dub's body in there. It is a lot of space inside there. And what I like about the fact that, if you haven't seen the videos, the back of the back glass and the back of the body of the cabinet have removable doors you can close with a key. So, you can keep the kids out of there and they don't pull, not that they would, but they don't pull out, the back of the cabinet. But it's a really well thought out design. It's really well thought out. It's easy access to get this stuff. Bear with me, my dogs are barking, so I can close the door. They're celebrating the new year. But it's easy access to be able to get to everything. It was a snap to put it together. It was like 15 minutes to put this thing together. It's an easy to use machine. I like the UI, as far as the thoughts go. There are a couple of tweaks here and there that I'm going to send off that, that I'm sure people have already sent off that should, I would imagine, be easy tweaks to improve things. But right out of the gate, man, if it was like a static, cabinet like we saw with the Toy Shock, right? When they first came out, and aside from now they're sending out replacement PCBs. If you couldn't update this thing with a firmware, if you couldn't add anything else to it, I'd be perfectly happy with the way it is. It's pretty good. It's pretty solid. I'm really satisfied with the play mechanics on it. The display looks great. I like the fact it's got a glass display on it, which is, it's more scratch resistant. I like the fact it's 1080p and 60 frames per second. Believe it or not, that makes a big difference. I mean, it's a noticeable difference. When I played my Toy Shock last night and I went to this, you can definitely see the difference. And I'm not just talking about going from 720p to 1080p or the fact that there was flipper lag because I still have the original PCB board. You can definitely see the difference. It's a smoother experience. It definitely is. And I think people are really, really going to enjoy what they're, enjoy it a lot when they get it. And I'm really looking forward to, all the stuff that's rolling out. In the future, the new control panel, the fact that we'll be able to do that. So the last thing before we wrap up the stream, if there's other things you guys want to see, let me know in the chat. I'm going to throw on real quick, and I'm going to show you guys some vertical games, what a vertical game looks like, real quick, because I did say that at the beginning. I know everybody really wanted to see the pinball, but I can't let it go without doing that. So let's do that real now quick. And again, what you're seeing, this is for educational purposes only. Since I don't have any real vertical games that I'm, quick access to, I just using this again for educational purposes only. And I think somebody's already shown this, so, but still, if you haven't seen it, this is a vertical game running on the cabinet. And if I want to, just like you can on the ALU, because I prefer it, you could turn your scan lines on, right? Of course, I got to figure out which is the fire button. I know one of these are. I know when I tried it the other night, I'm like struggling. I don't know which one is the fire button on here. I know it will work. But look, we're all here for pinball. You get the idea. I'm not going to really play it at length, but at least you can see this is what a vertical game looks like. I know I'm just kind of moving back and forth and not doing a really good job. But let's suck the guy up in the ship. So, but yeah, so you can play your vertical games on here. We're going to get an optional control panel that will give you trackball, joystick, single player joystick, and buttons. So you'll be able to play those games on here, which is really cool. The fact, again, it's options, right? Some people are like, well, why would I want to play pinball on the ALU? Why would you want to play games on the pinball? It's options. It's options. P-Dubs always says it's all about options. And the fact that AtGames is giving us options and we can do all these kinds of things is really cool. So, okay. See a little bit of banter going back and forth, guys. Let's keep it nice and civil. We're a community. It's all about constructive criticism. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Is this, somebody again asked me the other day, they're like, well, how is this rival? Like the $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000? It's a $600 cabinet. It's going to be an amazing experience for a lot of people. If you played a $10,000 cabinet, sure, there's no comparison, man. It's like, it's like going from, the only way I can say that is if you've got a deck, it's like, it's going, if you take a $10,000 cabinet that's decked out with exciters and this and that and bells and whistles and, gigawatts and flux capacitors, of course it's going to be better. But what you're getting for $600 is pretty damn amazing. It's pretty damn amazing. I don't see Well Played. I don't see Arcade 1-Up. I don't see Toy Shock rivaling this cabinet. It's pretty amazing. And I made a comment and got ripped apart about it recently, like I said earlier, where I'm like, I haven't seen some of these features on the $5,000 to $6,000 cabinets. Show me one of those cabinets that I can buy today that has the ecosystem that the Legends has. I maybe they exist, but I've yet to find it. I've yet to find it. So well, is it going to be for everybody? I can say, being a pinball enthusiast, I'm not a pro. I played a lot of real pinball. I really, really enjoy this. I really, really enjoy this. And the fact that you can play, different types of games on it without owning these super expensive tables is pretty cool, right? It's pretty cool. It's the same thing for people. It's like, well, look, I want to have a real Pac-Man cabinet. Look at the cost of a real Pac-Man cabinet versus, say, playing Pac-Man on an ALU or on an Arcade 1-Up. It's definitely going to be more expensive. It's not the same price. So, but I'm really thrilled with what this offers. So let's round out the night. I'm going to throw up one more game. Let's pull up any shout outs for last couple of games that you guys want to see before we wrap up the stream. I know I've been on here, wow, it'll be like 2.5 hours. Any specific things you guys want to see? Shout it out now. Going once, going twice. Otherwise, I'll kind of just throw a random one on there. Any screen that's less than 40 inches does not need anything more than 720p resolution. That's true to some degree, but I can say that when I look at that Toy Shock that's 720p, and I look at this, it's 1080p, man, I can see the difference. I can see the difference. I mean, there are people out there that will look at, Blu-ray versus 4K and like, I don't see the difference. I can see, there may be some people that don't care. 720p is fine. But the fact is, man, I like the fact that they went the extra mile and they put 1080p in here. It's a super vivid display. It's crisp. I said to PK today, I think the display on this looks better than the one in the ALU. I'm really pleased with this display. And glad is the Legends Gaming marquee reflecting heavy off the glass. You know what? Let's, for the final play, I'm going to kill the lights. You might get a little grain. Yeah, there is some reflection. So let me pull down my lights. It is also the angle. I can tell you when you're standing right over the table, you don't see the reflection. If you're standing really far back, like right now, you can't see me, I'm off camera. I'm standing back maybe 3 feet directly in front of it. Yeah, I can see the marquee. If you're sitting down, you will get a bit of the marquee reflection. You'll see it. But if you're standing over it where you're naturally going to play, like Tech Buzz is shown in his and Cool Toy shown in his, you don't see that reflection at all. It's not my line of sight. And if you're standing off to the side, you don't really see it too. It's just right now I do have some bright lights in here. I'm seeing it's also because I lowered it. It's going a little bit in and out of focus. Let me up the lights a little bit more. Sorry about that. Had them a little brighter because I didn't want, yeah. It's wigging out the camera, sorry. You know what, I'm gonna have to bring the lights back on again. I think that might not be as horrible as the camera going in and out of focus. Yeah, darn it, sorry about that, guys. Let me see if I can get it, adjust this thing so it doesn't go. Let me move this in closer to the table. The problem is that this does not go down. This might be better. Yeah, this I think might be better. Don't know how I'm going to play it, but this might be better. I don't know how much of the back box you're going to see. Let me just try and, it's going to probably cut it off. I want to try and show a little bit of the back box. Does that look a little bit better, you guys? Hopefully that's a little bit better. Let me see if I could drop the lights a little bit so you don't see as much of that shine on here. At least on my screen, it looks a little bit better. I do apologize. You're never going to capture 100% on webcam. It looks washed out. I'm looking on YouTube on my laptop, but I can tell you in person, it is not. It looks really sweet in person. All right, so let's try. What's a good one is that nobody really showed, I don't think, in some of the streams, TH Sector. I dig that one. And then I did say earlier in the stream I was going to show lights, camera, action because I like the fact that the back box is animated. I really dig that. And I'm probably going to suck at this game. I know people have asked about the haptic feedback. So there is a bit of a sweet spot where you rest your palms. I know it's hard. You can't really see it in the camera, but when you get it, you'll immediately recognize it once you start using the cabinet. But there is a bit of a sweet spot where you rest your hands and you can definitely feel it. I'm finding I like it set to high to get more of that thump. And I do find that some tables, it's more pronounced over others, like Haunted House, man, on high. You can definitely feel it. It's like boom, boom, boom. You can definitely feel it in your hands. If PK is listening, my suggestion is I'd like to see, just like you can adjust volume and stuff for each of the tables individually, I'd love to be able to see where maybe the haptic feedback is set even stronger, and then we can attenuate it per table, and it saves with those settings per table. That would be on my wish list for future firmware. But otherwise, it's pretty cool. It's definitely pretty cool. I would say it does give that illusion that it's thumping off of stuff in the cabinet when you feel it. Sort of sensory feeling. And when I mentioned too, I know Stephen was saying he liked to remap the buttons. Stephen at Tech Buzz, I find them comfortable actually where they are. I'm okay with it, but I like the fact that there's an option that you can remap them if you want to change the buttons. And one of the things that I don't think has really been talked about a lot, by default, flippers, so like if you have, let's say, flippers at the top and bottom of the playfield, they're combined. But there's a pro mode where you can separate those flippers. Now, I haven't tried it yet, but I'm assuming that, the nudge becomes the second flipper, second set of flippers, and then you just actually physically nudge the cabinet. But, that's something I haven't had a chance to try yet. But the fact that it offers additional options, I think, a pro mode, I think is pretty cool. And I think that's something that any pros that are out there that are really, that really have real cabinets and they pick this up, I think that's something they'll dig, the fact that there's more options. And especially the fact that, the expansion on this thing, you're going to be able to get all these other games through Steam, whether you're streaming locally or OTG, and Visual Pinball. The fact it opens up, man, to if you've ever looked at Visual Pinball, it opens up to potentially thousands of titles that you'll be able to play on this machine. And that goes back to what I was saying before, is that, show me one of these $5,000-$6,000 machines that does that, right? Sure, okay, maybe you slap a PC in there and you can mod it all out and all, but to be able to quickly on the fly be able to get that stuff and add it in, it's not all that easy. This machine is made to be user friendly, and I've dabbled a bit in Visual Pinball. It's not that user friendly, if you're trying to do stuff from the ground up. Let's go over and take another look at one of the other games. Let's take a look at Lights Camera Action I was talking about, because I know that was one of the ones I really had wanted to see how that performed. And another thing too, again, cool, is that unlike the ALU, the way this update instantly updates the leaderboards, there's no rewinding, trying to find that sweet spot to capture the graphic, to upload it. It seamlessly uploads the leaderboards. And you can easily pull them up and see where your standing is. The Tech Buzz is number 5. I'm right behind the Tech Buzz. Okay, I'm going to have to work harder on this cabinet. Going to have to work harder, because I'm going to have to knock that score off there completely. Oh yes, I will. Skywalker too, man. The Force is not going to be with you because I'm coming after you. All right, so let's throw up get some lights, camera, action, if you will. And if you guys have any final requests, I'm going to wrap it up after this, unless you guys want to see any final thoughts, any final things. I'm going to show a little bit of this and wrap it up, because I am starting to slowly lose my voice. But rest assured, there'll be plenty more streams to come between myself and others. It's going to be pinball overload. And I got it. Oh, you know what? I got to raise up the back glass. Hang on. So I want you guys to be able to see this. It's a little blown out, so I don't know how well you're going to see it. You might see it. Let me see if I can, let me drop down the brightness in the room here, so maybe you can get a better chance of seeing that back glass. Hang on. That's the tough thing with doing a stream, right? No, it actually made it worse. Hang on. Let me bring it back up. Well, hopefully you can kind of get an idea of it. I apologize that it's not all that easy to see it. Because what I wanted to show everybody is that it actually is animated. And that was the one thing that really disappointed me about Toy Shock, because it was a static back glass, and certain parts of some of the games just were not playable. And I remember, I'm like, it just like they grabbed the pinball pack and threw it on. That's what it felt like, because those, this table should never have been on the Toy Shock. And I don't like to really, I really hate ragging on a company, but man, I'm sorry, but it was a disappointment. Too late. I suck. So yeah, I know this isn't really capturing the full spirit of it with the stream, but I do dig the fact that, you can finally see the animations in the back glass for certain important elements of these games. And that to me, that's really cool. And everything is nice and readable. I like that you got options. You can stretch that, just like you can on the ALU. You can resize the back glass graphic on there. If you've seen the Arcade 1-Up, the DMD that's out there right now, it doesn't fill up the screen. It's got pillar boxes, if I'm saying the right thing, above and below. It's got space above and below the screen, so it doesn't even fill up the whole thing. This is nice. I mean, it's just the way it's laid out. It's just really well thought out, in my opinion. Here we go. I got him. All right, nice. So I'm going to let the ball drop. Is there anything you guys want to see? Any word out of video adapter to upgrade the playfield display to 4K? I have a 32-inch 4K display that is going in this second. I get it. I can't speak to that, but I'm sure somebody is going to come up with a way and figure that out. I would imagine there's definitely got to be some additional hardware you're going to need for that. So yeah, I can't speak to that. There probably would have to be some kind of converter to upscale it to 4K, because I don't believe this even has the ability to output 4K, but I don't want to speak out of turn. But having played stuff in 4K, I'm digging it, man. 1080p, I don't mind it. It looks pretty sharp to me. It looks pretty good. And I'm a nitpicker, man. I'm a film guy. So I'm really pleased with it. All right, guys, last call. Any final thoughts that you want to hear about? Appreciate the feedback. If you like what you see, definitely give me a thumbs up, on the video. Please like my channel. Check out my other content. I'm a film guy, so there's some good horror content on there. Check it out. Selfless plug. One of the things I do outside of selfish plug, I should say, is I do freelance stuff. So if you're a Friday the 13th fan, there's the new Shout Factory Friday the 13th box set out there. I did the locations featurette for parts 1 and 2. Check out vinegarsyndrome.com when they come back up online. I've got some work on there. I just did a documentary for them that's on the Silent Madness 3D disc. First time that movie's ever been put out in 3D. I did their Spookies documentary last year that won a Rondo Award. So my passion is film and video games and, and retro. So hopefully I'll be bringing you more content down the road. Any last questions or any last games you guys want to see before we call it a night? Give it a moment. Thank you, PK, if you're still in there, for joining. Definitely appreciate the support. Fantastic job, man, that AtGames has been doing to get this product out. I don't want to speak to what they paid, but I can tell you, man, it is insane what they paid to get these things out, to really try and create an experience and get feedback from us, early adopters or first wave. And every day, all times of the day, I see Jason and Jonathan and PK on. Like I said, it was New Year's Eve last night, and his family's waiting, and he took the time out to talk to me. So, they're really in touch with the community. For anybody out there that tries to dispute that, or you have a hiccup with a firmware, or maybe you got something broken with your cabinet, just be patient, man. Every company has growing pains. But, I was one of those people, man. I had a loud mouth at the beginning of last summer. But what I've seen in this past year has really changed my perspective. And I really think that the stuff that's coming and the stuff that they have now is going to be a game changer for the retro industry in this space. And there's a lot to look forward to. I've been privy to a couple of things, man. And I said to PK last night, I'm like, whoa. And I wish I could talk about it. I wish I could be the one to say it. But for me, when that particular thing comes out, that is going to be a day one purchase for me. So keep your ears to the ground for P-Dubs and Tech Buzz and Cool Toy and all the cool things that they share, and check out the streams. I know it can be a little confusing if you're new. There are a ton of different fan pages. There's the official AtGames page. There's the official fan page. There's a Q&A page. I'm on the Q&A page. It used to be called the tutorial page, but I'm on all of them. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up, or, P-Dubs, all the guys are out there, to take questions and help guide you where to look for resources and things like that. It really is a great community to be a part of, and I'm looking forward to everything that's coming, for next, well, it is this year, this year. So appreciate it, appreciate the love, and all right, guys, I guess that's it for the night. Stay tuned. I hope Stephen, you get the rest of your cabinet soon. I'm looking forward to seeing what you have, coming forward. Things to look forward to. I do have, I know this is not the official Arcade 1-Up, but I do have the Star Wars cabinet coming. I will give you my opinions on it when I get it. I have the big Buck Hunter cabinet coming because I'm a light gun fanatic and I can't wait for that Bit Blaster. PK, get us the Bit Blaster. I want it now. Got to have my light gun fixed. So I'll be giving a review on that as well. I'm sad to see that it's already out in the hands of some people in the Midwest from Best Buy, and yet mine still shows January 22nd. But despite all that craziness, AtGames got me this pinball cabinet, and just in time for the new year, man. Thank you. You made the end of my year fantastic, and I think you're going to make a great year for everybody. You got a lot in store. Anybody that's got this cabinet on the reservation and is waiting for it, man, you're going to be very happy with it. And, the best thing about, like I said, waiting is that, if there are any little tweaks or bugs along the way, hey, it's just going to be that much better of an experience by the time you get it in your hands. So thanks for everybody for joining the stream tonight. Look forward for more content. Have a good night. Stay safe with COVID out there, and have a happy new year. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.